Master mic is not on. Master's mic is not on. Okay, they're looking into it. Master, can you say something to test?
Hello. Okay, I think we're on. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I see that Ray is back here from his vacation. Welcome back. Kids have a good time? Oh, very good. All right. So let's continue learning from Master YongHua's Chan Qi teachings. Okay? Go ahead.
Master, we ended on slide 128, which you said you would like to revisit today.
Oh, we did. Okay. Okay. He says that in China, they use the expression Lao Xiu Xing is an old cultivator, as if you translate it literally. Okay. He explains that it's to mean that these people cultivate until they become old. I don't think so. I think we should not be as preoccupied with the age or being old or young. It's about Lao Xiu Xing to me, and please disagree with me because I'm not Chinese, if you will. Lao Xiu Xing refers to the fact that you cultivate, and you cultivate long enough. That's where the word old comes from. You cultivate long enough, you've cultivated for a long time, long enough for you to really know your ways about how a particular institution practices. So that's then you become, in American, in English, you become an old hat, you become a local expert, if you will. Okay, so to me, that's what Lao Xiu Xing really means. It really has nothing to do with your physical age. Agree or disagree? It has nothing to do with becoming old at all. As someone told me, age is just a number. Okay, so that's where he's at. Let's continue then.
This time, we will call us a new cultivator. The new cultivators will never become old. To be new cultivator is to be the number one with cultivation.
Can't hear him at all.
Number one, cultivation. Where does that come from? In America, that's the first one to become enlightened.
Okay, I will have to disagree with him a little bit here. This is too Chinese for me. Okay? This is not our emphasis anymore. He says new and old, and new to him is because we want to be the first one to become enlightened. It's no longer the case with us. Okay? First of all, I'm interested in you, so many of you, because so many of you have become old hats. So you've been very helpful for us in helping new people, welcome the new people. To me, it's so important for you to be able to talk to new people over lunch or over a cup of tea, something, because that is so important. It creates a first impression that's so important for me, because I've been to so many temples, Chinese temples, Vietnamese temples, Taiwanese temples, Thai temples, and so forth. And what I find I really like about you at our temples is that you really care. When you talk to newcomers, this is not you just being polite, but you actually are very kind to the newcomers. That really makes a difference in my mind. Okay? Whereas what's different about you is that you decided that you're not going to judge newcomers. Because everywhere I went, all over, okay, they always judge you. They always look at you and say, like in Korea, you're not Korean. I'm sorry, that's my first impression. You don't look like Korean. Where are you from? Or most temples I've been to, including my master's temples, people judge you. You know, especially Vietnamese temple. They say, you're not Vietnamese, what are you doing here? Oh, I've been to Sri Lankan temples. You know, your skin is too light. So, and that's the thing that I find to be so distinctive about you. That is, you don't judge people at all. Okay? We welcome everyone and be kind to everyone, be nice to everyone. That's all we are. There's no secret agenda. We're not trying to convert you. We're not trying anything. We're not trying to sell to you either on anything. Okay? That, to me, is so important. We're not seeking. We're practicing that doctrine right there. We're not seeking. We're not seeking new recruits. We're not seeking more disciples. We're not trying to sell Buddhism to the world. Not at all. Okay? My master, he taught his disciples that you should propagate Buddhism. I'm teaching you. No such a thing. Okay? We don't need to propagate Buddhism. Let people choose Buddhism because we deserve it, not because we need to sell to them. So all we do is make ourselves available, okay? And if whatever we say, whatever we do, however you present yourself, comes across to them as, wow, I like this. I like to find out more. That's all you need to do. People decide for themselves. Don't ever underestimate people, okay? They are very smart. They decide for themselves. So the one thing that I really like about all of you is that you don't try to sell us at all. It's very important, okay? And that's our principle right there. We're not seeking, okay? We're not trying anything. We're not trying to pull a fast one on you. And that's also a drawback because we're too low-key, okay? There's a drawback in that people will not notice us. They will not think that we are impressive enough for them to come back and so forth. So be it, okay? But I want people to come to our temple feeling that we are who we are, and we embrace them, we accept them who they are, and that's it. And they're welcome to come back anytime. The temple is open. They're welcome to come back, eat a meal with us, sit there and talk to us whenever they feel like. But there's no pressure whatsoever from both sides for you to deliver new disciples for the temple, for them to prove anything to us. Okay? And that's very important to me. Okay? And that's why we're different. And we don't need to propagate the Buddha Dharma at all. We don't need more disciples at all. Unlike Master YongHua, where his mission was to make Buddhism more widespread and have more Buddhist disciples here in America as his first one of his first missions. And I am no patriarch, I'm no high-level Sangha, therefore I don't have that kind of pressure. We don't have this kind of pressure. Okay? That's number one. Okay? The more you become an old cultivator, the more, what's the word? Relaxed you are. Don't try so hard. You try hard when you're by yourself. You sit there and you meditate, you say, okay, I need to work hard. I need to focus and drop everything else. That's what Chan Chi will train you to do. But when you're with people, the one thing I need you to understand is you need to relax. Don't try anything. Don't try so hard to sell yourself. Don't try so hard to please people so that they feel special, they'll come back and ask for more attention. That's not who we are, okay? Everyone walks in here, once you become an old cultivator, we all disappear, we're all the same. We all treated the same way because we're all cultivating, okay? At our own pace, doing the things that's important to us, leading a normal life. It's no change. You walk out of here, you feel no different. Okay? You bring back that spirit to your family, to your friends, to your workplace, where we're just kind. We just help out when we asked. We don't even try so hard to impress people. Okay? Actually, I prefer not to be noticed. That's what I learned from my teacher. He's the most ordinary monk or man I have ever met. No one is like him. He's so, you don't even notice him at all. He's so plain. He's such a big shot. He's so plain. He helps so many people. He's so plain. He's so totally unnoticeable. Questions or comments? Okay? And so let's go back to this slide here. Can we get the cursor to become a little bit bigger? As you get older, my eyes are not as good anymore. When you make it transparent, it's much harder for me to see it when I move it fast. This cursor moves pretty fast. Okay? So Master YongHua says, for his disciple, he calls them to be new cultivator and to be number one with cultivation. Okay, that's trying too hard. Yes. 2.
That translation has some problem. It shouldn't be it's not number one in the sense it's the best. It's just the first one. It should be the first one in the previous slide.
Yeah, cultivation should come first.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not a good thing to tell newcomers that cultivation comes first for us. It's not normal. Okay? It's not necessary. You should have a normal life, doing things that are important to you. Yes?
I don't know if that's what this meant. Like, there's nothing here mentioning cultivation to be the first thing, life, or the number one thing.
Oh, so sorry. So he's saying, doing when you cultivate, you're shooting for this one thing here, which is become enlightened.
This is what I have problem with this translation. It says number one cultivation. No, the previous. Sorry, it's the number one. The previous slide, where it says number one cultivator.
No. He's saying that when you cultivate, you shoot for this most important thing in cultivation, which is what is that most important thing? What's the number one thing? Here, for us, you disciples, is to become enlightened. That's correct. Because in Buddhism, doesn't matter if you're Chinese, American, Thai, Taiwanese, and Vietnamese, and so forth, Korean, and so forth, cultivation's sole purpose is to become enlightened. That's correct. Okay? However, he failed to realize that in America, enlightened is one very often abused word, enlightenment. You talk to American, you talk to Malcolm, for example, he say, oh, I knew about enlightenment. I may tell you about it, okay? And you do a search on enlightenment on the internet, it will be like hundreds of pages on the various authors who explain to you what enlightenment is. Okay? From Taoism, from yoga, from, everyone has an opinion, everyone knows about enlightenment. So we're one of the, the many experts on enlightenment. So to emphasize enlightenment is like blah, blah. Banal. Okay? How do you say it in English? In French, it's banal is like, ordinary, like boorish. Okay? Can I quickly do like a pronunciation banal? So lacking originality as to be obvious and boring. Bédon. Banal. Yeah? I like banal because it's like close to the French original pronunciation. Banal. Okay? So it's boorish. It's perfectly, it's nothing outstanding at all. Okay? So to say that this is why, since I've been teaching Chan the last decade plus or so, I first started by talking about enlightenment, and then as I learned more from the Caucasian and more people who came to the temple, I realized that it's actually misleading to talk about enlightenment nowadays. So what do I talk about? Talk about self-improvement. Enlightenment is misunderstood, often abused. So it's much more important for you to look at the concept where the one thing about cultivation is to improve, meaning that each and every one of you can see your own improvements as you invest more time in it. That's all. And eventually, If you keep on improving, first of all, one thing you look around and say, oh my God, more people around me have improved so much further ahead than me. Okay? And you ask them, wow, it's cool that you got that far. What's in it for you? What did you get out of it? So that's the main thing for me. My interest is for you to continue to improve, because it's a great thing. You see someone better than you, they're better off than you. They're much more pleasant, they're much more patient, they're much kinder, they're much faster, they're much more relaxed, they're much more friendly, much less angry, much more tolerant, much more, I don't know, compassionate maybe. If you run into such people, high-level people. Okay? So you see that it's interesting to see that when people keep improving and they get a little bit higher and higher level, they see how they're transformed. They like themselves more. They're more likable in a very understated way, not brash and say, I'm better, I'm special. It's not like that. Our people, when they improve, most of them actually have become more pleasant. Why? Because they realize that there are many more who's much better than they are. You have a long way to go. Okay? And you look at those people who are better than them, supposedly, because I said so. You see, those people are not brash, they're not arrogant, they're not full of themselves at all. So you have this great assembly here of people where they've been at the various levels of attainment, okay? And that's what really motivates a lot of people on continuing to improve, because they look at what those people and they say, well, I like to be like that. And then recently, and before, I stayed away from this because I tried not to sell, okay? Because the temple is so small. Our temple used to be so small that if we have more people coming, we can't handle them. Okay? I want to take good care of you. You're here, we're here to help you. So if it's bad weather outside and you make the effort to come here, we want to make sure we can accommodate you. That's important to me. Okay? I only look to expand only because I need to accommodate more people. Okay? And so we get a bigger place so that we can accommodate more of you, so that you're comfortable. Okay? So that, but so I try to stress more of self-improvements than enlightenment. That's a difference. Okay? Are we there yet? Okay, continue, please. Wei Mao has a question. Go ahead, Wei Mao.
Thank you, Master. I believe it was during the Avatamsaka Sutra where we were talking about the different celestial beings of all things, where the concept of being at ease was emphasized quite a bit. And I really, really like the concept of being at ease, especially in high-pressure work environments where no matter how quiet or polite or contained people appear, you can sense when someone's at ease. And I've definitely sensed that from other people I've interacted with here at Way Mountain and Lou Mountain and everywhere over the years at your way places. And it's just a profound state of being. You know, I don't know what enlightenment is, but I've definitely experienced and appreciated being at ease. Thank you for helping me achieve that.
Well, thank you for your input. That's exactly what I meant by relaxed. At ease is a Buddhist term that has a very special connotation. I try not to use Buddhist jargons when I speak Dharma, because I want everyone who tunes in or listens for the first time, they can listen to it and they say, wow, I can understand this. Okay, and that's what I really appreciated from my teacher, Master YongHua, who can speak very profound dharmas using very simple words. And so that's why I use the word relaxed, meaning that don't try so hard. Okay, and at ease is actually the jargon for it. It also means at ease here refers to only enlightened people. We're talking about first ground bodhisattvas or higher. Okay? First ground bodhisattva, for example, I met a second ground bodhisattva in the Tibetan. One guy I really like. He's a second ground bodhisattva. And why does he stand out? He stands out because he's at ease. He's relaxed. He's not trying to get money from you. He's not trying to get donations from you. And God knows, the Lord knows that he needs donation. And yet he's not trying. You understand? If you need money, because you need money, and because of that drive, of that need, it will influence your actions. And therefore, whatever you do, there's this underlying scheme where I need to get more money out of you. This guy is the only guy I notice that doesn't care if you give him money or not. It's the only guy I notice. I like him. He's the only Tibetan monk that I like, unfortunately. I don't meet so many of you. Actually, when I was in a Vietnamese temple, I met quite a few high-level people from that tradition. And I saw many videos of the famous ones, and my disciples would go to Tibetan temples as well. And they came back and they said, you know, you may only be teaching from your living room here, okay? And that's so because that's all you can afford. But you know, the one thing is that you're so relaxed. You know, and these people, when they see you coming, they sort of like, you know, like watching you and see there's like they're after something. That's how they sensed it. Okay? And again, that's why he's the only person, okay, who's at ease. Yes, too.
Master, I've been practicing the great compassion and repentance, and the good thing is I've had experiences where I feel lighter after it's over. So my question is, when I'm practicing, should I think about what I did, if I had to kill a bunch of ants or something, or what I'm repenting for?
What are you repenting for?
Yeah, when you're practicing that, do you think about what you're repenting for?
Okay. For this great compassion repentance, we do it in Chinese. Can you follow it in Chinese? I'm just curious.
It's just the audio or the mantra on the website.
You do it at home by yourself? Okay. So you follow the video and you follow the bowing, the kneeling also, you just you don't. Okay. Just how do you listen to it? Okay, that works too, in a different way. But the great compassion repentance is the repentance dharma. So even though you recite it or you follow it in Chinese, and even not following the actual procedures itself, but the text, the thing you're chanting along, it actually repentance dharma, where you're repenting of a lot of different karmas that you created in the past for yourself and on behalf of living beings as well. Okay? We don't do everything just for ourselves. Everything we do is a combination for ourselves in order to benefit others. And we don't talk about it either. Okay? But that's the path. That's the Dharma. That's the nature of the practice. Okay? And so you repenting on behalf of yourself and on behalf of living beings. Why? Because living beings, many living beings, such as birds, such as ghosts, such as spirits, would not have the chance to practice that particular Dharma. So that's why you're doing. We're doing because it's beneficial for you. And imagine, because that beneficial for you, very beneficial for you, if you were able to do that for many more living beings, that's how you're helping. Okay? A lot of living beings. Okay? That's the nature of that particular ceremony, that particular Dharma. Okay? Every time you do that, that's what that's the consequences. However, in particular, and there are some cases where you realize you made some boo-boos and you're sorry. For example, you stole something from your customer, from your company, stole time, stole a package or something. You do that? And you feel like you must repent. Then you can do that and say, today I'm going to do this, and for the express purpose of repenting for these particular offenses that I've done. Okay? So there are two ways. By default, you're repenting of the past karmic offenses that you created in the past, this life, prior lives, and so forth and so forth and so forth, going way back. And you erase some, and then you erase some more and more and more, because the offenses you created will be endless. And those are important. It's important to repent, because by the time you die, those offenses are the ones that will prevent you from having the next good body. Just for example, when people die and come to a Buddhist temple, which is a very, very good practice, what we do, one of the first things we do is repent on behalf of the deceased, so that we repent of these karmic obstructions. What kind of karmic obstructions? The kind of obstructions that will prevent them from going to a better place. In particular, going to the Pure Land. We need to repent for them on their behalf. Okay? So you're doing that. You're doing that not only for the future, but also you can also address the specific needs. All right? Does it help? Yes, 6.
A Di Đà Phật, dạ thưa thầy, khi repenting con không có, I don't even think about what is it meaning because it's Chinese. So should I read it over an English part and see what it meaning and learn about it?
The ceremony is in Chinese. However, you can read the English text as well. Let me tell you, the English text is not 100% accurate. It's about 90% accurate. Okay, but it's good enough. So again, even though you don't understand, but the fact you are following this liturgy, you are getting the same benefits as those who understand. Same exact thing. Now, you can enhance your understanding by reading the text in English when you have a chance. For example, what I used to do is that there's a section where I like the chanting a lot, because the chanting is beautiful. It's one of the best ceremonies in Chinese. And so there's certain section I really like. Then I would read the English text to see what it means, that particular section. Okay? That's what I would do. JC.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, Happy New Year to you.
For Korean people, we know some Chinese characters, traditional way of writing things, but we don't. Is it better?
Increase volume a little bit. That's your job. When you see I have competition, you increase a little bit, that's all.
애들 많은 거.
That's a job of a sound engineer, by the way, if we could afford to pay for one. In the churches, during these events, they hire a sound engineer in the back, and his job is, and he constantly adjusts, okay? That's why what he gets paid for. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So, Master, I have a question. So, a lot of us Koreans, we learn Chinese characters, and then we learn how to pronounce it in our way, in Korean pronunciation.
Yes.
You emphasize learning Chinese language. So, if we only know how to pronounce in Korean and just know traditional characters, is it enough, or is it better to study like the actual Chinese language?
It's up to you. Again, you don't need to understand the language. You follow the liturgy, that's good enough. Okay? The understanding to me is for your own use. I like to understand because of my curiosity. I'm very curious by nature. And also another reason for me to try to understand is that I know that I have to explain it to you one of these days. One of these days, some of you will ask me, what does it mean, this thing here? And I have to be prepared to answer such questions. So yes, I put a lot of emphasis on understanding the liturgy itself. And number three is that it helps me also train people better. Why certain particular practices are more effective at dealing with certain problems than others. So that's my role. My responsibility is when you have a problem, what is the best Dharma, what is the best tool we can suggest to you to achieve your goals. Okay? And so for example, here in the United States, here in San Francisco, there's a weather forecast that says we're supposed to have very bad weather for about 5 days, 6 days. Okay, very, very bad weather, flooding and so forth. And so what happened is that I was concerned about it because it's so nice to be able to see people committing to come to attend every night's lecture like this. Is important to us. It's very, very remarkable that you're able to do that. Now, so I'm concerned that what if people drive and to after work, okay, they have to brave the traffic after work because we start too early, 7:20 p.m. And here it's rush hour traffic you have to beat, okay? And plus when it's bad weather, it's very dangerous to drive, plus it's very slow to drive, okay? And so I'm concerned about it. And what if people get in trouble? They get an accident or they get hurt or something. So it's in my mind, okay? And typically, when it happens, I would personally intervene. I would say, the God of bad weather, please be compassionate and and just spare us, if you will. Okay, we only do this once a year, and people are very sincere. They want to learn, they want to practice, and therefore, please spare us. Okay, please do me a favor. Okay, I used to do that, and they seem to cooperate. Yeah, when it's very windy, okay, very windy. Where yesterday is very windy around here at our temple, with wind blowing and blowing and blowing, and all day, practically. I was in my room practicing and working, and I could hear the wind chimes going off constantly. Okay. And in my younger days, I would be afflicted. I say, can I just concentrate for a while? I would then do something about the wind. Okay? This time I don't do anything. I say, okay, if that's the case, this is what I have to work with. I have to bear with it. Okay? And so I didn't do anything until I read in the news that people are getting hurt. One person died here in San Francisco. Okay, and the meteorologist person says that although the excess water is really welcome here in Northern California and Southern California, but it's excessive. It causes mudslides. It causes the water not to be absorbed properly. The small reservoirs around here in Santa Clara are all full. So if it continues to rain, the water will be run off. It causes more problems than helps. Okay? It's a good thing. But it would be better if it slows down a little bit so that the water has a chance to get absorbed properly by our reservoirs. And the main thing is to get the snowpacks in our mountains. Okay? And so, with that, typically before, last year I would have, would address them directly and say, would you please help us out and so forth. But this year, I didn't even do anything. But it bothered me in the back of my mind and said, my God, should I, shouldn't I? Should I, shouldn't I? Should I, shouldn't I? And I decided not to do anything. And guess what? It cleared up. Why didn't I do anything? Because what we do is important. But what they do is also important. Who are we to impose our will on them? It rains for a reason. Every time it has a storm like that is because they got together, the dragons and the gods got together and decided, we're going to have a storm at this particular time, okay? Because we must, okay? And who am I to say, no, my needs are more important than yours? Okay? And so we got to the point where we're not seeking anymore, even try to get cooperation from them, because what we do is important. It's beneficial for them even. And I want you to understand that, because they decided to cooperate. It's supposed to rain. Before I came up here, I saw rain for 5-6 days in a row. And then my disciple texted me and said, Wednesday, it's going to be so bad. Okay? And I was planning to leave on Wednesday. So we moved it up to Tuesday. Okay? And rearranged a lot of people's schedule. And we barely made it to San Jose with half an hour to spare. Didn't ask anything. Okay? The reason in the past I used to intervene and ask for things because my master used to do that. He says, I have a big Dharma assembly tomorrow. And I put a lot of tables and chairs outside. And if it rains tomorrow, boy, are we going to be in trouble. And I expect like 60, 70 people to show up. And so you go something. You recite the Great Compassion mantra. And if it rains tomorrow, it's your fault. For us, it's not a big deal. If it's not meant to be that people come and they get rain and whatever, and they learn from that as well. Or they don't come at all. It's up to them. Okay? We should not take ourselves so seriously. Okay? And by the way, the God of bad weather, thank you. So I don't have to worry about you going home, wet roads, and foggy streets, and heavy rains. Okay, so thank you. We appreciate it. So you see, that's cultivation too. You cultivate with an accord with conditions. You don't impose your will on others. And if they know the benefit from our cultivation, then they choose to cooperate. They have more blessings themselves. They don't cooperate, not our fault. Okay? See? You understand? Okay? And so we improving too. We become less and less so sure of ourselves. Okay, because they're important too. If they decide to be a windy day and blow the wind, so be it. Blow or decide to rain. So okay. But if they should decide to cooperate, then they have far greater blessings. It's their choice. We don't need to intervene. All right? Okay, and that to me is cultivation. Okay, so here, back to slide 131. The Master says, the first one who achieves the way is called a new cultivator. I feel, what he's talking about is too low. What he talks about achieving the way here is first stage Arhat. In 1971, that's about the levels. They're not going to go very far. Okay? No way they're going to reach big enlightenment. No way. None of them. Unlikely that any of them will even reach fourth stage Arhat. It's too new. So anyway, this is very rather Chinese for me. Continue, please.
第一个显成道，第一个修行，这个叫心学。
The first one to achieve the way, the first one who cultivates. These are called the new cultivator.
就是法师，你昨天讲，修道不要有这个第一。
Master, you said yesterday that to cultivate the way, we shouldn't have this number one.
这个第一不是你自己有的，是旁人有的。你要自己想得到这个第一，那是又是妄想。
This number one is not claimed by yourself, but bestowed by others. If you yourself want to have this number one, that's false thinking.
旁人说你是第一，那就是真正的第一。那么，想要做一个新修道的人，需要改变自己的一切的恶劣的习气。
If others say you're number one, then that's true number one. To be a new cultivator, you need to change all your bad habits.
Again, this is an Asian preoccupation of being number one, or worldly preoccupation to be number one. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, it seems to drive. It's a driving force behind a lot of us, especially in the modern times, to try to be number one. To me, it's perfectly normal. You want to be number one in whatever field, number one in class, number one engineer, number one doctor. It's perfectly normal for you, for people to do that, because that's how we contribute more by having some natural, what I call healthy competition. It's perfectly okay to be number one. Okay, so that's why if we talk to you about cultivation and we talk about becoming number one in cultivation, then to me, then we're just the same as a worldly pursuit. We're just trying to be number one too. Me, I'm trying to be number one master. I'm actually number one monk, number one temple you want to come to, and so forth. To me, I don't have such a mindset. I look at us as part of this thing behind us. Okay, maybe they cover it up. This thing about us called religion, which is necessary for people. Okay, is a healthy balance between the secular life, where you live normally, and then on the weekends or when you have time, invest the time in your spiritual health. Okay, whether you go to church, to the synagogue, or to your mosque. Okay, all those are good starts for you. Okay, so I don't try myself, even when you happen to go to a Buddhist temple, I don't try to be number one either. Okay, it's no such interest. We try our best, that's all. Okay, so this number one thing here to me is an obsession that's not necessary. Okay, we try our best and we give it our all, and that's what we're happy with. We're happy is that I'm happy when I try my best. I give my all to try to do my job. Okay, at the end of the day, I said, well, I did the best I could. That's good enough. Whether others know it or not, or recognize it or not, it's not that important to me. You don't have to live looking over your shoulders and looking around, hoping someone will notice you. And that's a poor way to live. If your wife notices you, great. She's a good wife. Hang on to her. If she doesn't notice you, then maybe you could do better. Or maybe she'll become better eventually. That's what it is. We don't force ourselves on others. Okay? We embrace them. If she can't see you, so what? Okay? Yeah. So don't try so hard. Cultivation is to accord with conditions. If people are nice to us, they obstruct us, bad weather, so be it. We just hope that people don't get hurt because of us. Okay? So I don't like the concept of number one. I like the concept of trying your best, give your all. Okay? And the next day, work harder, try to do more, try to contribute more. That's all. Okay? Okay? And how do you do better? Doing better is not simply working harder, folks. This is a misconception of people. Cultivating harder doesn't mean that you simply work harder. The Chanchi is to help you, put you in an environment where you can drop everything and follow the schedule and challenge yourself to do more and more. If you're fasting, and I'm not saying you're fasting anymore, officially. Your fasting is very demanding. You're hungry 24 hours a day. How do you do more? How do you work harder next day? You continue, then you become hungrier. Okay? It happens naturally. So the process, the environment, will put you in a place where you work harder. Okay? But that is only for the purpose of, he puts here, to see your bad habits. All the hard work, all the vigorous practices will help you unveil your own bad habits. And that's cultivation. Working hard is not enough. You need to work smarter and better. And how do you work smarter and better? By dropping your bad habits. That's the secret sauce. Becoming more humble. That's how you work smarter. That's how you work better. That's a secret in Buddhism. And like for example, Ray back there, I talked to him last year. I said, you're from Northwestern. I'm from Chicago. And let me tell you, Chicago and Northwestern, it's like big brother and little brother. Okay? Chicago being big brother. Make no mistakes about it. We are very intellectual. We're very smart. We produce, for example, the MBA program, there's a Wharton, Wharton University, and is basically Chicago PhDs. The finance department there, or the famous MBA program, is Chicago PhDs. We're that strong. The comparable institution in the East Coast would be MIT. But MIT is more in engineering. Chicago is not. Anyway, so I told him Northwestern is just trying to get up there, but intellectually, It's not there. Okay? Don't have the intellect. The tradition of superior intellect. U Chicago, very proud of it. But I said, you are from an intellectual family. You should go to these good programs like MBA programs. That could be next for you. And don't go to Chicago. Chicago is no good. But don't go to Northwestern for sure. Okay? Don't go to Chicago. Go to a place like Stanford, like Harvard, because MBA is not about intellect alone. An executive is not about intellect alone. You go there, I tell you why you go there. You go there, I recommended these institutions instead of Harvard, instead of Princeton or MIT and so forth. I prefer Harvard and Stanford and so forth because they have a tradition, a network of superior CEOs. Okay? And because of that tradition, they produce so many CEOs and outstanding people, they're able to choose the proper student body. So you go there and you learn from your peers. I learned from my peers. I was frightened by my peers. My peers at U Chicago is much smarter than I was. Much more scary. Okay? They laugh at that our professor and said, no, you're wrong. There's for example, there's a visiting professor, Taiwanese guy, professor from MIT. He says, I'm MIT, made in Taiwan. and he would teach us a class in whatever, I forgot. And one of the guy who did the project, and he said, your PhD thesis, okay, is wrong. It could be better. I got, really? And so he said, the final project, he presented his approach to that. The way you arrive at your thesis here is not very efficient. I have a better way. And he looked at that and said, you're right, I give you an A immediately. Yours is better than mine. That's how frightening these people are. Okay, but it's not about being smart. It's about a lot more aspects about the jobs, about the training, that I recommend that he would go to places where, like Stanford and Harvard, where they have a track record of producing superior CEOs and successful CEOs and chairmen of the boards. Okay, and you learn more from the student body because those are superior people, brilliant minds. And for some reason, knowing that Ray procrastinates and so forth, okay, and he didn't apply. What happened, Ray? Why didn't you apply? Too lazy?
Master, you're right. I procrastinate, and then I signed up for a GRE test, and then they changed the format because it was COVID. So they asked people to do it online, and I did not read the instruction very well before the test. So I was ill prepared, and I disregarded some of their instruction, and they just don't allow me to continue the test. So I have this kind of obstruction, and I did not follow through I did not follow through after that.
I see. My point being that even you go to these places, you meet these brilliant people. The one drawback of the brilliant people in this program is that these people are really geniuses. They're so smart that they're not impressed by the professors. Okay, they're very, very smart. But the one drawback about them is that's their peak. They will not improve anymore. Okay, so they're there to get an accreditation, get a recognition, open the door, and then they get and go and do the things they're supposed to do. Okay, in our spiritual practice, the more we practice, the more you improve, the better you become. And you become better, you actually become smarter, you become faster, you become wiser, and all those things. It only happens because you change your bad habits. This is what worldly people don't realize. The smarts, the intelligence must be accompanied by wisdom. Being smart is not enough. Okay? And wisdom comes only by your committing to change your bad habits. Think about that. Next.
过去的那个人呢，就像死了似的。等明年呢，这个人就新活过来。很新的。
It is as if your past self dead. Your past self is dead. And the next year, you newly become alive and be a new you. Don't be like this little child. There was a child crying at the time. The little child only clings to his mom.
要学一个大人呢，不但不摸妈妈，不摸爸爸，是很守规矩。
You should be like an adult. Not only an adult, not cling to his mom. He doesn't cling to his dad either. He is very well disciplined.
生了之后，到这个戒律上去修行。戒律是叫人诸恶不作，众善奉行。
After we hear this, we should all cultivate according to precepts. Precepts are to teach people to refrain from all evil and do all good.
Okay, so he says the basis of their spiritual practice is precepts. What are precepts? Precepts are to refrain from doing any evil. It's so fundamental. It's not okay. It's no justification for being evil. None whatsoever. What is evil? You in your heart knows. You know what's evil in your heart. You're not sure? You can learn about precepts in Buddhism or in Catholicism or whatever, Judaism, whatever, okay, which spells out, gives you more details. For Buddhism, we're very, very precise. We spell out for you, the Buddha clearly delineated the line there, where if you cross that line, it's evil. Okay? And so that's why in Buddhism, the foundation for our practice is precepts, or as he puts it, as to whatever you want to call it, yeah, is to refrain ourselves from doing evil. And if you're able to refrain yourself from doing evil, you become a better person, then you naturally do more good yourself. It's a step by step, okay? You don't worry about good, is my approach. You worry about refraining yourself from doing evil. Why is that? Because the Buddha knows that fundamentally your Buddha nature is a good nature. It's devoid of evil. As people live, ordinary people live, there's so many temptations that will create the urge for us to cross that line. Okay? When we breach into the evil side. And when we do that, we suffer. You lose a clarity of mind. Once you lose your clarity of mind, you commit more mistakes. You sink deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. That's what people fail to emphasize in Buddhism. Once you cross over that line, you cross over to the evil side and do things, okay? Even though no one knows about it, you're sinking. You're sinking deeper and deeper. Okay? Remember when you have younger children, you're so protective of them because you say, if they make a mistake, they may not be able to recover from their mistakes. So that's why it's your role to teach them to avoid making those mistakes. It's exactly with the precepts. It's the same exact thing. Some of the precept violations are not recoverable for you. That's why it's so important for you, because it's not just this lifetime. You cross over your lines. Not only will you suffer this lifetime, also next lifetime as well. That's why you see, we know that. That's why after you die, we need to protect you. We need to help you recover from your past mistakes. Repent for you. Okay? Don't allow those mistakes, your offenses, from obstructing your next lives, your futures. It's the very same thing we do for our kids. We teach them to avoid making mistakes. Okay? That's precepts. That's so fundamental. Okay? Except that we don't do it, take it far enough. It's a lifelong thing. As you grow older, you have more temptations to do more different types of evils. That's all. Okay? So the precepts are really a gift. Whether you call it commandments, whether you call it whatever the Quran teaches over there, okay? Even though lots of things are not as precise as in Buddhism, but they are good. They're good stuff. Okay? And I don't necessarily agree with all the Quran, especially the part where they misinterpret it and enslave women and girls. Okay? And that's wrong. Okay? And there are certain things, there are certain manipulations and distortions there are not healthy. The same thing happens in Buddhism as well. In what is it, Myanmar, there's a monk there who advocates it's okay to kill the Rohingyas because they're not really Buddhists. They're actually evil. It's okay to kill them. There's no such a thing in Buddhism. We all have aberration, distortions, and abortions of Buddhist teachings. Okay, but the one thing, though, you all are capable of is your instinct. Your Buddha nature says, this doesn't feel right. Okay? Yeah. So you need to stop. So the first thing is try to refrain from doing evil. And if you try to do that, then that you're being good. Being good has two parts. Number one is to refrain from doing evil things, doing things that hurt and harm others. That's number one. And number two, so number one benefit is from refraining from doing evil is that you are not making mistakes. You're not harming anyone. You're not harming yourself. And number two, even better, once you have some wisdom, then you can do more good to benefit more. Because benefiting yourself is not enough. Your world is too small. It's very lonely, and that's how you live. Doing all good here refers to helping others. Stop helping yourself. You see, so that's a precepts here. What the Chinese didn't explain is that the first part is refrain your, fight against temptations to do things that you regret later. Okay? And number two, if you're capable of, try to help others. That is meant by doing all good. All right? Next.
也就是以前的种种，譬如昨日死；以后的种种，譬如今日生。
That is, previous deeds were like yesterday's death. Future deeds are like today's birth.
I don't know what he's talking about. Let's continue.
改过自新，改恶向善。
To change one's wrongdoing and start it new. To change one's evil and orient towards good.
Okay. Well, on the previous slide, I don't know where he's going. I don't care. It's too complicated. It opens a can of worms where people, especially people who are not familiar with Buddhist concepts and Buddhist teaching, they said, so tell me more about prior lives and future lives and so forth. It's too much. Okay. And I think he didn't want to go there either. That's why he changed immediately to change the focus to in slide 140 instead of elaborating on that. Okay. So it's about committing to improve, and to improve begins with stopping doing evil. Okay, Stop doing the wrong things. And remember who you really are. You're good people. Ma. Wa. I forgot. Okay? We're good people. Deep down, we're good people. That's who we really are. Don't settle for small gains, for temporary, insignificant things. Look at the big picture. Continue.
So that you didn't believe in Buddhism in vain this time, you will for sure reap the benefits you want.
No. I don't want to talk like this. I don't want you to repeat this kind of Chinese teaching. I read this too often in Chinese, in Vietnamese, in Japanese, in whatever, especially Hinayana, they talk about this. And to me, this is greed. You are encouraging for greed. Okay? I think you're better than that. We are better than that. You don't have to believe in Buddhism because you know for sure you reap the benefits. It's go without saying. You don't just sell it anymore. This to me is selling. It's making promises. It's not necessary to make promises like this. Because if you keep on making promises like this, you keep them there in line for a while, they still are reaping benefits. However, the nature of cultivation is that you make some benefits, and then you lose some. And then you make some progress, and you regress again. So if you only sell them about you only sell you about making progress and getting benefits from it, we're appealing to your greed. And we're making unreasonable expectations, creating unreasonable expectations from you. I don't like this. Okay, monks and nuns, don't ever do this. Don't do it like the Chinese. Don't do it like the Vietnamese. Don't do it like the Sri Lanka. Don't do it like the Thai people. Don't promise. There's no need for this. Because the nature, again, I say, you will win some, you will lose some. That's the nature of the process. You only tell them, if you believe, keep on believing, you should reap the benefits. You know, part of your benefit is that you have to take losses. This is wrong. For the monks and nuns to say, you walk through a path where you only see benefits. This path will bring you a lot of benefits. I want you to think of this path as something that does not necessarily bring benefits. This is the right thing for you to do because you feel good inside. Because I know I've met a lot of car salesmen. They're known, they're notorious for selling. For selling in America, there's a statement that you're a good car salesman. You can sell your mother a car with a cracked engine. Okay? Oh, that's a joke in English. Okay? A cracked engine means that it won't even work, but you sell it to your mom anyway. You're a good salesman. Okay? And to me, you don't want to sell the benefits. Okay? You want this one thing here that all of us are thirsting for. I'm sure that I did. In spite of all the power, all the money, all the fun, the drinks and the wines and so forth. Okay, there's still something missing. Because you gain those at the expense of compromising your integrity, of sacrificing someone for your own gains, of hurting someone in order for you to make a profit. And even though you make a lot of money, you become famous, your heart knows you disapprove yourself. I don't know. And the worst part is that you bring that greed, you bring that selfishness, you bring that cruelty home to your children, to your husband, to your spouses. And you rub it off your mother, your father, your brothers, your granddad, and your nephews and nieces. And so you're infecting society. It's nothing to be proud of to me. You feel empty inside. You will become alcoholic. Many of these rich people I know I used to work for, they all drink like crazy. They can't take the pressure. Because in front of people, they say, I'm successful, I own you, I buy you. What's your price? I will buy you. And they go home, they need to have a drink to drown, to forget about their own suffering. They don't feel good about their lives, about what they do, because they consider hurt in people's eyes. They know that occasionally they have to sacrifice people's careers and livelihood in order for them to advance in their careers. Okay, so I don't think that we should be teaching people that they're supposed to get benefits from cultivation. We should be teaching people that we cultivate because we feel better about ourselves. And we bring it home to our children. They laugh and they smile, they run around, they scream. They can be themselves. They don't have to be afraid of us. They don't have to keep the distance from us so that because they don't feel as comfortable around us. Those vibes that we exude because of our predatory behavior at work, out in the world. It's not good for our children. Okay. So for them, the Chinese or Master YongHua's generation, the way they teach Buddhism is that you will not regret this. You will reap a lot of benefits. I don't like to do that. Such people will not stick around. It's okay. If you choose to do that, that's okay. But the reason you're around here, the few you still around, it's never because we sold you that you're going to reap your benefits. It's because, I like to think, because you feel it's the right thing to do. And you feel better about yourself. You feel better about your lives. And that you're proud to be part of a small group that's trying to make a difference. Someone has got to do it. Instead of talking about it, instead of making promises, we do it. Do what? We don't expect to reap benefits. We take losses. It's okay. If others get more benefits out of this, good for them. We're happy for them. We're not jealous. Questions or comments? I'm not saying that you must do this. I'm only posing to you to do it every now and then. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to learn to occasionally to choose to take a loss. We don't always take losses, okay? But we intentionally take losses every now and then. And the more you improve, more often you choose to take losses. That's all. Yes, too.
Master, I think I have some form of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So, I mean, there's always something to do and always something to clean. And is there a way? What kind of spiritual practices help that?
Then you have the same problem as the Koreans. They're always cleaning. You know, my disciple here who came from Korea, she cooked in the kitchen because I forced her. And then she just told me that, you know, I'm clean a lot more back in Korea than here. And I feel guilty. I should be cleaning more. But then I realized no one cares anyway. If I clean more, it makes no difference to us. It's so dirty anyway. So, I don't think you are as bad as they are. You notice that every time before the lecture starts, the Dharma talk starts, you see Koreans in Korea pushing some kind of broom, something to clean the floor, you know, or they're bowing cushions. They're obsessed. Even my disciple says, Master, your temple stinks. You came to my temple, your temple really, really stinks. I say what? So what's the problem? I don't see any problems. Go ahead, too.
Well, I've noticed it get better. It got better since I improved a little bit.
Yes.
Went on to the next level, and then
Yes.
if I wanted to do something, I could focus on.
Yes.
That's what attracted me to Chan was the concentration aspect. and then I was able to just knock this out and this and that.
All right.
And then
Very good. I'm beating around the bush to see what you're going to do, and you have to pin me down. That's not very polite. I used to do that. I used to ask a question, and the Dharma master would give me a beat around the bush. No, I'm going to push you. But guess what? Yeah. Anyway, so what do? You want to change. You notice it already. If you improve, you become less obsessed naturally. Yes? What's obsession? Obsession is a succession of obsessive thoughts. Yes? So you have this obsession to do this, and then you add on top of it, and on top of it, it becomes OCD. Yes? I must clean this. I need to clean the floor. Look at that. There's a thing on the floor there. How could you live like that? We Americans are so dirty. How can you stand it? You sit right there. Hey girl, look around. Okay? Are you Korean or not? Okay. So the point here is that, it's the nature of the Chan practice where the more you improve, the fewer false thinking, false thoughts you have. So naturally, you are less obsessed about it. So the point here is to improve. Okay? As you improve, whatever pace you add, you will become less obsessed. Okay? Less of a problem. So the question then becomes, how do you improve? Yes? I'm running out of time. That's why I'm answering my own questions. Okay? So how do you improve? For you in particular? How about helping out? Plant blessings. Don't be like the typical American. I'm here. Teach me. Teach me. I'm special. Teach me. If you didn't have blessings, whatever I teach you will not register. Doesn't stick. Like that spaghetti al dente. You cook, then you throw against the wall, it slips down. Okay? No good. So, it's amazing you survived, and you come, when you can, and amazingly, you been coming more and more regularly. Okay? And it's because you've been planting blessings. Let me put it that way for you. Without blessings, you will not be able to progress. So plant more blessings. Okay? Practice more giving. Okay? And talk to the old monk. He'll tell you more how to give more. Okay? Keep him busy. That's as blunt I'm going to be with you today. Okay? And with more blessings, you will improve. Wei Mountain.
Thank you, Master. I want to say thank you so much for speaking to the battleground that is the workplace and the wounds and the repercussions that adults have dealing in a professional environment, then coming home to their home life, and how that absolutely affects their partners and affects their children. And as many times as you've brought this up over the years, you are still, I believe, the only person that I know of all the articles I read, that even talks about this massive elephant in the room of the American home. And I really appreciate you articulating it. And your practical advice of approaching work with the intention of contributing has served me so well. You're never going to remove yourself from the fray. You know, work is difficult for the people that are there. If it was easy, it wouldn't be called work, right? But with a focus of contribution, it is a much more positive approach to the day in, day out activities. And I just want to express my sincere thanks and gratitude for you to even talk about this, because most people won't even touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yes, and thank you for bringing it up. I noticed quite a few of my disciples, they buy into it, and they really believe in making contributions, and they quietly are helping out their colleagues, helping out their subordinates, because that's the spirit. You know, we want to be constructive with our lives. When you like that at work, that kind of spirit, mindset, is what you take at home, to go home as well. And it's a lot more appreciated than you realize. Your children appreciate it. Your spouses, in spite of their obsessions, will appreciate it. But they're not saying anything for the sake of negotiating for, something they want. But they really appreciate it as well. Okay, so to me, that is what should be called work-life balance. Work-life balance for ordinary people like I work 8 hours a day, I go home and spend time with my family. That's called work-life balance. And what are you bringing home? After 8 hours or 10 hours, if you're a professional, you need to spend between 8 and 10 hours, more likely 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's the norm here in the United States, okay? And you spend that kind of time at the office, and then can you shut off that mind that, that's predatory, that is lies, that cheats, sells your mother a car with crack engines, and expect to go home and so all of a sudden switch and become an angel? That's not possible. How can there be a balance? There's no balance. You bring the same crazy mind, evil mind home. There's no balance at all. Now, instead of you work your butts off and you go home and you crash, now you work fewer hours, you bring the evil mind and infect your children, you infect your spouses. And they call it work-life balance. I chuckle at that. I say, wow, you are so confused. So what is work-life balance? Doing decent things at work, contribute at work. And that kind of mindset, you go home, look at your children, how am I going to contribute to the future, to the happiness of my spouse, of my children? Same kind of mindset. That's work-life balance to me. Sounds like a Dharma glimpse, maybe? But thank you. Sometimes you need to give me some feedback so I know what sticks on the wall or not. Yes, too.
So this seems like a very fascinating topic. I don't quite get it, but maybe Master, you could even possibly make this a talk that you can give at some companies here about this Buddhism, American Mahayana definition of work-life balance. That could be a very interesting topic for you to talk about.
Yeah, we could write a paper on that, but I'm really no intellectual. I'm very stupid. I'd rather open my mouth and say for a few sentences and move on because there's no depth in whatever. Whatever comes out is spontaneous, inspired by you. You know, for me, for example, it's fun for me to look at you sitting there, and especially newcomers struggling. How much longer? It's been almost 2 hours now, and he doesn't seem to be anywhere near stopping. You know? And my legs are hurting so much. And for me to see, for example, Xianan there at the JMT, sitting there and trying to be straight and not moving for the whole 2 hours, it's so inspirational. Huh? In a small way, she says, hey, this is interesting to me. I respect this Dharma. So I'm going to sit adorn here to adorn the Dharma. That's my little contribution. I don't need to speak the Dharma. I sit there, look adorn, out of respect. That's a contribution, you see? We're all looking for ways to contribute. That's what we do. We contribute. We don't look for benefits. Don't look to gain like these people. I spread Buddhism because it's beneficial for you. No. I don't care whatever you call it, but we do this in order to contribute. That's all. Anyone else? And what is that? Yes, 3.
Hello. Okay. Master, I had a question. You had a statement about once in a while taking losses, and then also another one, which is that being yourself. And one thing I wonder is that sometimes when you take losses, there's also a conflict with being yourself, because I feel like sometimes being yourself also involves like an ego that can come in. So do you have any advice about when taking losses? How do you do that without hurting yourself or taking on too much that you end up hurting yourself in the future?
Okay. When we talk about taking losses, it doesn't mean that we are sacrificing our children's future, our family's future. Okay? It's called moderation. That's why I said every now and then, choose to take losses, but you don't have to do it all the time. Okay? And that's for most people. But for us, we keep on taking losses. We do it all the time because we're different from you. We're supposed to do it all the time. Okay, so it's varying degrees. As you improve, you take more losses. And you improve, take more losses, and more, and more, and more, and more, until you get to the point, Master YongHua's level, that's all he does. He takes losses all day, 24 hours a day. That's incredible. It's so remarkable. He does nothing. Absolutely nothing for himself. Nothing I know of. Dirty clothes, city 10,000 Buddhas, they have men's side, the big building there, they have a very old washer for the entire building, monks. One old washer, like 20-year-old washer. Okay? What does he do? He waits until 2 or 3 in the morning when everyone is asleep and would go and do his clothes so that he doesn't compete with anyone for using the machine. That's who he is. Little things like that. Even the smallest thing. He said, I'm going to yield to you first. You go first. You go first. It's incredible. So, it's a natural thing for you. When you, at your level, you say, okay, I can go this far, but I can't go very far. I can go beyond it. It's perfectly okay, but it's intentional. You say, okay, I'm going to take a loss now because it helps others. Instead of helping myself, I help others. And that's how you open your wisdom. You become less and less preoccupied with yourself. You put others ahead of you once in a while. And when you have real wisdom, you realize actually it's one of the best things you can do for yourself and for your family. It's okay. Until you see that, it's okay to do it in moderation. Let's just give an example earlier about the weather. I just chose not to meddle. I chose not to make demands, not to have it my way. Say, you do it your way. We all will take losses. And guess what? When we chose to do that, they said, I like this. Let me take losses ourselves. The bad weather god, he says, I'm going to make it inconvenient for me because because I'm supposed to rain here. I'm supposed to blow the wind here in our San Francisco area and create problems here. Okay? I have to postpone it and negotiate with my colleagues. I do it somewhere else at another time, or maybe delay it. They choose to take losses themselves. You see how contagious it is. You take losses, people see that, oh wow, I like this. Now I want to do it. I want to take losses. And guess what? It cascades. More and more people get infected with wanting to take losses. And that's what's happening to you. One obvious thing is when you cross your legs, you're taking losses. It's hurting. You're taking losses every time you cross your legs and choose to endure the pain and endure the discomfort. Because when you do that, you're benefiting your family. You're benefiting yourself. You're also benefiting your children and your family. You just don't realize it yet. Eventually you see it clearer. Okay? Does it help? Just moderation. I'm not asking for you to do it, the way we do. We're crazy. Okay? But that's what we do. We are professionals. We train to do this. But for you, ordinary people, do it in moderation. All right, thank you everyone. We stop here tonight.